Hello guys, welcome to our 12th lecture of our Gemini Code Assist series, and in this video we'll talk about a very important concept or very important file that exists in Gemini CLI or whenever we start creating a project with Gemini is Gemini.md. Okay, so we'll understand what is the purpose of this file, right? We'll understand like what are the contents that are there in this file. We'll understand like what the role does this file plays in the workflows that we have building and why it's useful. Okay. So let's understand what Gemini.md file is and what is its purpose. It's kind of a file that contains the project manifest and instruction file that the Gemini CLI uses to understand the context, goals, and the structure of your project. Okay. So basically this is a file that contains all these things, right? Like how the project has been built, what tech stack it is using, what task you want to do, what coding format you are using. All these kind of instructions will be in this file. Okay, it's like a blueprint. It's like a blueprint between you and the AI assistant, right? So once you have created this file, you have added your details of what you are doing in this project, then AI assistant kind of reads through this file while creating a new feature, while creating the UI and all those things, right? So this is like a blueprint, and it tells Gemini these things: what the project is, what tools it should use, and how to assist you in building this project. Okay, so it's like a readme kind of a file only. There is no strong convention around like how this file should be created. It can be created in any way you want. End of the day, the Gemini CLI or the Gemini agent that we have seen so far is going to read through this file to create features for you. Okay. Let's quickly understand the contents generally you keep in this file to build your project. One is definitely the project description. Another is the setup requirements. For example, if you're creating a Flask-based application, how you do want to set up that project. If you are creating a React-based front-end application, so what tech stack and what things you want to set up for your project. So those kind of things, right? Then what are the tasks, right? So every project has some plans like, hey, build this feature first, build this feature next, build this feature next, right? So this is what we call as task or to-dos in this case, in case of a Gemini.md file. And it also has this context for multi-turn sessions. So we have already seen like you can do some chat in one session, you can do some chat in another session. And Gemini, what it does, basically, it looks into this file to be kind of consistent across these different sessions for your project. So this is what it means, okay? And then let's understand how we're going to have this in our workflow. So we have built this expense tracker project so far, right? And in the last video, we built a to-do full stack application, both using Flask. In the last application, we used Gemini Code Assist extension and its agent feature to do the work for generating the project and building the entire full stack application, right? Earlier, the expense tracker project was built using the Gemini CLI, right? So we are going to do this. We are going to go to expense tracker project. We are going to run this command /init, and this /init, when we run, it creates a Gemini.md file. Now this Gemini.md file, so basically running this command will create a file, Gemini.md file, and this file is basically, it will analyze all the files that we have created inside the project and all those things, and then finally it will try to create a blueprint like this. So you don't have to do anything, right? You start with something, you create a basic project, and then you run this init command to create all these things for your project, right? So this will be automatically created for you. And then what you can do, you can basically go inside the Gemini.md file and maybe add more tasks and add more tools and or add more conventions if you like, or you can do it manually. Okay, so if you do it manually, then what will happen is that Gemini will take into that file and all the extra details also into its context while building the new features and all. Okay, so let's do this. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to terminal. And this is where I built the expense tracker project. Let's quickly see all the files. Yes, they are there. And basically you also see where you have created your expense tracker project. If you have not, just create a new project through Gemini CLI, add some simple features, and you can are good to start with me from here. Then what we're going to do, we're going to go inside, write Gemini, so that we enter into the Gemini CLI. And once we are here, we are going to do this, right? So /init. And this is what we'll do. See, the command is saying analyzes the project and creates a tailored Gemini.md file. And this is what I said earlier, right? So let me press enter and let's see what it has created. The Gemini.md file is created. Now analyzing the project to populate it. Let's see what does the file contains after Gemini does the analysis of the project. Okay, so finally the Gemini.md file is created. So what we're going to do is, let me use the shell command to kind of see what are the contents of the file. And this is the file that has been created for us, right? So you can see here the project overview, technologies used, architecture, how to build and run the project, for that prerequisites, installation, then how should we go about run the application, right? So you can modify these things here, right? For example, we were using Python 3 to run the application. You can just modify this. And whenever you now say the Gemini CLI, hey, run this application, so what will happen? It will know that, hey, it has to run this command to run the application. Okay, and run the test, and it uses this command to run the test, and these are the development conventions as well. So it has done a good job in creating this file for us, and this is what we need. And maybe what you could have done is maybe you can add more a slash task kind of a thing, where you say that, hey, these are the next tasks you have to do, right? So, and then you can provide on CLI that, hey, let's do this task now. So it will take all these conventions, that how it has gone about building the project so far. So now it has a lot of context going into building the next feature. So this is what basically Gemini.md file does. It kind of, you don't have to specify the instructions again and again that, hey, build a CRUD based API on Flask for something else in my expense tracker application. You can just now say that, hey, let's do this for something else other than expenses, maybe a note taking for expenses, so something like that, right? So this is what Gemini.md file has done for us. And now let's go back to our notes and see. So the usefulness, obviously, it ensures that consistency I was talking about, right? So the AI kind of sometimes hallucinates between running the app using Python app.py or Python 3 app.py, right? So now I have specified in my Gemini.md file, so it will always run the Python 3 app.py file, which is the correct command. Okay, it acts as a single source of truth for the project context, collaboration easier, right? So for example, if I'm doing vibe coding in this app, and if you're sharing this project with someone else and he sees the Gemini.md file, so basically you will definitely put this on the GitHub, this Gemini.md file, and when he is kind of doing vibe coding on the same app, it will be like the Gemini CLI of that guy will look at the Gemini.md file and realizes that, hey, this is the kind of conventions that has been followed through the project, and it will do the same. Okay, and also about the prompt fatigue, right? So this thing basically means that every time I have to kind of specify to build something using prompt, I have to be very detailed, right? But now a lot of details has been encapsulated in the Gemini.md file. It picks it up from there, and my commands plus the details in my Gemini.md file, and then it goes about generating the feature. So very useful file. In the next video, we'll talk about one important concept called as checkpoints. And the last video, I'll just talk about like what is my workflow, what is my exact steps to go about if I have to vibe code and complete app using the Google Gemini CLI. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.